I'm here to talk today about something that I've kind of been obsessing about, and actually something that okay, so I'm gonna start by saying that I am a fall, like, junkie. I'm not like a pumpkin what is it? Pumpkin spice girl? That's not my jam. I'm more just like I fall on the side of, like, witchy spiritual fall and getting back into routine fall. Um for those who don't know, am a mom of school age kids. My kids are back in school. Everybody's got more routine. We do so much better in this house with routine, so much better. And so everyone's just feeling a bit more grounded and settled these days, which is it's a good way to feel. Um, and one of the things that I do every fall, like just sort of naturally, like my own natural rhythm, is to do what I've always called a reset. Which literally is like just that. Like, I also love a purge. I love anything where it's like, we're gonna be done with that and move on to this. That's very much what my fall reset has always been for me. And so I this year actually put something together for subscribers of The Haven. Um, and actually members of The Haven have already gotten it. So I hope they're digging in and loving it. But the thing about this time of year is that if you think of it in terms of seasons, it's naturally sort of a winding down point, getting ourselves ready for the slower pace of the winter. And so naturally, I have always found this to be like a great time for me to like take the pause. I will say in the past, I've not been good at it. Because in my healing over the last few years, I've learned that I deserve a pause, that I deserve a reset, that I deserve to like take the time to do this sort of thing for myself. Um, and P.S. So do you. So the fall reset that I'm doing this year is maybe a little bit more structured, but I'm also like digging into it deeper because I fully recognize the benefit of it. I fully recognize why it's so well, for me, it's just become like essential, but why it is so beneficial to do. So I'm not going to go through like this whole thing I put together. If you want to check it out, it's up in my link. There's a link to it. It's a little $7 instant download. Um, but what it does is like I finally just took all the parts that I always do and put it together to be like, if you, hey, do you want to do it too? Cool. I also think that I will probably in the next coming weeks for people that get the guide who do this little reset, I think we're gonna do like little reset circles. I've been like thinking about something, just bringing us all together to like do this together, to talk about it together, think through it together, to be like, okay, like how are you doing it and what's it look like for you? And here's what I'm finding. And here's like, I just everything is better with people in community. So I'm thinking we're gonna do something in the coming weeks for that. But anyway, the thing that I have found recently in all of my trauma healing and my unlearning of the way everything has been done is that the pushing and forcing is not good for anybody. Whether that's like forcing a thing to happen, forcing your way towards goals, like whatever it is, it's not great for your nervous system. I personally find it ages you. And not that I'm afraid of aging, but like I don't need that on top of everything else. And there's it's the forcing is rooted in sort of our patriarchal drive toward something. We are a very goal focused society, right? Like everybody loves their end of the year goals. I don't do goals, by the way. And I talk more about this actually in a post I put up a couple weeks ago about like my tiny experiments. Like I don't do goals anymore. I do like tiny experiments to see what's going to be good and kind of move me towards where I want to go, but I don't hold fast to goals anymore. And that whole vibe and that whole energy is very much what the fall reset is for me this year. I've talked about it before. The book that I'm obsessed with right now is called Tiny Experiments. And it is really a deconstruction on goal setting. And so for my fall reset this year, which, as I've said, naturally happens for me this time of the year, I purge stuff. I really sit down and like relook at like what I want to do, what I've been doing, how it's working for me, I, there's always sort of a spiritual reset for me in the fall. Um, but this like whole concept of tiny experiments is also become a big part of the fall reset, my fall reset. So it's part of the fall reset I put together. And it's also part of, I, it's like, I hate to call it a framework, but it's just like these 4 steps that I've been doing the last couple weeks to find my own clarity and my own way forward. I've talked about this in other places, but like I am in what I'm calling an I don't know season. I have been most of the summer. And a big part of the I don't know process is for me has been being okay with the I don't know process. And again, not like rallying against it, which I think we're just trained and traumatized to do. Like, I don't know is uncomfortable and we don't want to feel uncomfortable. So we are going to force our way through, force clarity, force answers. And then, at least for me, I can't speak for everybody, 9 times out of 10, you end up feeling worse than if you were to just sort of like chill for a second and let yourself find some clarity. So, sorry, this isn't a hot beverage. It's a Celsius. So that's why I got ice in that. Um, so anyway, the tiny experiments kind of became a part of this 4-step thing that I put together over the summer. And I actually did a live last week talking about it. My 4-step clarity framework, whatever process that I've been doing for myself, really all through the month of August. And so as I was thinking about my own fall reset, those like 4 steps that I've been doing sort of naturally just became part of the reset. And as I was like thinking through it and thinking how I want to share it with the Haven community, with my subscribers, I was like, it makes a lot of sense because these 4 steps have taken me through so much questioning, like that good questioning that, first of all, you're either going to do it and pay attention to it, or you're going to do it, not like it, and ignore it. I'm going to encourage you to do it, pay attention to it, and use it. Um, but the 4 steps is kind of the kickoff to this fall reset because it's very foundational in like how you want to continue to move forward. So hang on, I've got this in front of me so I don't forget my things. So in this guide that I put together, it's a workbook, it's a guide, it's just like a PDF download, it's nothing serious. But I did add some links at the end for my favorite like playlists. I love a good like cozy lo-fi fall playlist. I've got links in there. And then also EFT tapping is one of my favorite nervous system regulation techniques. And I've got some of my favorite EFT tapping rituals linked in the guide too. But I digress. Back to the point. So in the guide, it starts off with these 4 steps. And I won't go through it again because I did it last week, but it's like a check in, like what I know for sure. What do I know right now? That's your step 1. Your step 2 is almost like an energy audit, like an energy check in of like what is feeling really heavy and draining right now, and what's feeling really expansive and energizing right now. Then we do a little bit of like imaginative play, manifestation, whatever you call it. And there is an exercise about the someday self, which I love to do. I didn't realize I am have since I was a kid, like I'm a deeply imaginative person. And I also realized in the last few years of adulthood that I like some people, everybody visualizes different. This is a huge digress, but just stay with me. Everybody visualizes different, right? And I visualize like a movie. Like when in my brain, I see a movie playing out. And did you know not everybody does that? I, if you don't, I like, that's a shame because it's so great. Anyway, so my like imaginative life, the inside of my brain has always been very visual, like a movie. And so this part of this 3rd step in the process feels very natural for me. And it might be a stretch for somebody else, but I think no matter what, it's like a valuable thing to do of just imagining like what you want it to look like. Because if we're thinking in terms of, where energy flows, energy goes, where what we think is what is. Like that's if you want to really get into it, that's really all energy and brain is. Is like you creating the reality for yourself. And while I'm like everybody has their own thoughts around manifestation and all this kind of stuff, I think it's so incredibly valuable to not just like imagine what you want your life to be, your thing to be, whatever you're kind of working towards, but what I think is just as valuable is to understand the feeling energy around it. That's the thing that I find like the most powerful is it's one thing to like imagine a scenario, right? To like imagine how it's going to be, but it's another thing to then like feel the energy of that thing in your body. And that's again where energy goes, energy flows, or is it the other way around? Either way. That's like the step 3 in the process is doing like spending some time in that. I also find it to be really motivating because, like, when I get into that and I'm really starting to feel like jazzed about it, it's for me, that is so motivating. That's like, cool, awesome. Yes, I do want to feel that way. Great. Let's do the things that are going to help me feel that way. And then actually, step 4 is going back to tiny experiments. Um, the part of the process where I don't want you to be like, these are my quarter 4 goals. No, we don't do goals. And I also hate working in quarters. That's just a personal preference. But the idea of tiny experiments is again, like getting rid of this, like, these are my 6-month goals. These are my 2026 goals. No, 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 no. It's looking at what you do want to accomplish, like what you'd like to happen in your life, then looking at your life as like the reality of what you're living. And then looking at what can you be doing. And they're literally experiments, like tiny experiments, like little things here and there. Like, what can you do that's going to feel really good, that's going to feel motivating, that is going to align and meet like your mission? Like, if it's a business, if it's a personal thing, like whatever, it's going to fall in line with you and who you are and what you are. And you just give it a try. And maybe you try 10 different tiny experiments in the next 6 weeks. Amazing. The whole point of it is to like kind of like gather your own data. Like I say in the post last week, like be a you scientist and use these little tiny experiments as information to help you plan your next step after that and your next step after that. Again, goals, having these like, set your big goal and work backwards. Okay, cool. But like you don't know what life's going to throw at you in the next 6 months. You don't know how you yourself are going to feel in the next 6 months. So instead of like setting the big goal and working backwards, like let's just look at the next right step. Let's just take the next right step. And then when we get to that step, we look around and we reassess and we take the next right step. Um, this all again came out of the book Tiny Experiments, which if you are somebody who really struggles with like the stringent like structure of like goal setting and smart goals and all of that shit, which I rally against, Tiny Experiments was like reading this book has been like, oh, like how are you in my brain? How did you know that? How have you been living in my brain? That's what it felt like. So that is the beginning of the reset because what I have found a whole lot of clarity over the last few weeks, especially as I'm like in this I don't know phase of my life and really looking for answers as to what's next. Um, so I wanted this reset to start with that, to start with these 4 steps. Um, Beyond that, in this guide, I give you like some of my favorite like rituals. I have like a releasing ritual that I do all the time. Um, that actually is great for your when you do step 2, which is like the energy audit, like what's filling you up, what's draining you, and then really truly like intentionally releasing that shit so it's no longer hanging on you. Um, and also too like a reset, at least for me, and so I've made it part of like the guide. There is for me a physical reset too. Like everything in this house gets cleaned, things get purged, reorganized. Like I even in my office today being like, "Well, this is all changing." Like, there is so much power in the attention to your physical space. And again, like, the fall for me is the perfect time to do it, especially if you are somebody who lives where there's seasons. Like, I'm in the Midwest, so the fall for us is like a winding down to the point where we're gonna be inside for many months. Like, we are going to have that physical change of environment. Um, and so taking the time now to, like, again, set yourself up for that change. I just think it's such a powerful and, like, a deep act of self-care for not just for you, but, like, for your family, for those who occupy your space. So there's ideas in the guidebook, in the workbook to, like, help you do that kind of stuff. Um, and again, there are some really good Spotify playlists because in my world, everything gets a playlist. Everything should have a soundtrack. I firmly believe that. So my reset always has a playlist. Um, and again, EFT tapping. If you've never tried EFT tapping, I was introduced to it a couple years ago, and then um, a good friend of mine, and actually she's on here, Heather Vickery, has some great EFT tapping resources as well. I will admit that when I first heard of EFT tapping, I kind of rolled my eyes, but as I learned the science behind it, and I am nothing if not a combo of like the spiritual and the factual. Um, but as I learned like the true like energy science behind it, I was like, okay, let's see. And over these last couple weeks, especially at the end of the summer, when I really was in this place of just um, uncertainty, I don't know, like being in a big season of I don't know, I recognized the like the nervous system impact of that. And I really started to use EFT tapping as a way to regulate and reground. And I just can't say enough about it to the point where I'm like, this might become a part of me going forward is more into this different modality just to help better regulate and use like the energy and the power that we have intrinsically just as human beings to better move through the world. You know what I mean? So that was just kind of like a quick and dirty about the fall reset. Again, I put it together in a downloadable guide. It is available up in my bio, like the links or whatever. But I really do think I'm going to start we're going to do some more stuff with this moving forward into the season. I really want to get people together and do this as a community, as a group. Um, because the thing also that I love about this, and I talk about it in the guide too, is like this is while there is some framework and a guide to how you can do this, I really encourage everyone to make it your own. There is no, like, timeline to this. It's not like fall reset in 3 weeks. Like, if you wanna get the guide and do it all in a weekend, amazing, I love it. If you wanna get the guide and do it, like, do a little bit each week until we hit Christmas, love that too. That's the thing that, I think some of the clarity I've gained in the last few weeks is that all of, like, the set in stone rules are kinda bullshit. And the thing about clarity is that it comes with empowerment. And I, in the last few weeks, have found some major like empowerment energy in taking all these things that like do it this way, you should be doing it this way, and figuring out how it works best for me. So this guide is just that, a guide. It is a suggestion, not so much an instruction. And if you get the guide, if you use the guide, I want you to really like use it in a way that works best for you. So that was it. Dre, thanks for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Um, there will be a link in the email to the guide. It's also, again, up in my bio if you want to check it out. But if you do grab it, please let me know how you use it, what you think of it. Um, it's become like just like a great little experiment. This is actually perfect because this guide was a tiny experiment. it was like one of those things where as I was working through my 4 steps and, like, thinking about it and, like, how I wanna move forward, what I wanna be doing for my community, for myself, this whole idea of doing or sharing my own fall reset was just a tiny experiment. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna see how it goes. And we're gonna take the next right step after that. So thanks for hanging out. See you later.